then like if this isn't working,
Just
like,
go-
I don't want to spend time on it.
Okay, try this. Hello. How about now? How about now? Do you like me? All right, cool.
Yeah, I hear it.
All right, so we'll just have like the camera like
Well,
shut
let's go
off.
outside.
That's all.
It works.
That works. All right, cool.
Okay, they're nice.
All right.
I mean, your camera's not on it right now.
Yeah, we'll just turn the camera
cool.
on that because like, it's just a short torso.
You're good.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, guys. Y'all know how to like, use the mic and stuff?
We're good.
Yes, we're good. We're good.
All right, we're good, man.
Clip it on yourself.
Yes, and then we'll like
switch
share.
back
We'll
and forth.
switch.
Oh, you can press the I button so it's not on the screen.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, next question's getting short and Sydney double acceptors.
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
I've been asking.
I can see
Oh, wait.
Hey, marketing, raise your hand. 1, 2. And then do you want any other angles?
No, I think
No,
that's
that's
Okay, yeah. Chilling. And make sure the camera's facing. And if you want, you can have it do this way, that way. Yeah. Okay.
All right. What's up? What's up?
I can't make it.
Okay. We'll go through that to
Yeah.
start, I guess. Actually, so as soon as we finish the presentation, we'll get everybody logged in.
Before you.
All right. Awesome.
All right, is everyone ready? All right. All right, okay. Welcome to the Respell workshop, Magic with Respell and OpenAI. So just a bit of what's going to happen in this workshop. We're going to show you a bit about the importance of shipping products. I'm going to introduce you to Respell, and we're going to integrate it with a Flash server. So this workshop is going to be a bit technical, but this is really all to help everyone get their projects up and ready to go, okay? So what is this workshop about? We want to teach you how to ship models, deploy them fast without going through all the trouble of doing environment things and input variables and access that API, this API. I'm going to introduce Respell and their founding engineer, Nicholas Momsha. Everyone, please clap for him.
Is this good? Is that good?
Yeah.
Am I good? All right. All right. Hello, everybody. I am Nicholas, and yeah, I'm a founding engineer at Respell. We're a very new no-code AI app building startup based out of San Francisco. And today, my goal is that every person here has built a Spell, which is a no-code AI app. So if you're technical, great. If you're non-technical, great. You can still use it. It works for everybody, and you can get up and running and use GPT-4, Stable Diffusion, DALL-E, all the hype models, all that stuff without having to worry about API keys, environments, vector databases, all that stuff. We'll host everything for you. So just to start, if you guys want to get on our Discord and our Twitter, that would be great if you want to connect with us, if you have questions and stuff like that. And also, as we go through this, if you make a spell and tag our Twitter, wait, do you want to go back real quick?
So yeah.
So if you tag us on Twitter, we'll be looking at it and we'll be giving out shirts, stickers, like merch, and potentially credits and stuff like that. So yeah, and we'll show you guys actually how to publish your spells and how to share them on Twitter and all that type of stuff without even coding and stuff. So we'll get to that later. But make a spell, post it on Twitter, tag us, and we'll be looking at that and we'll be handing out merch for it. Awesome. All right, just hold it there. Some shit.
All right. So that was Respell, and now we're going to talk just a little bit about OpenAI. So hands up, who here has heard about OpenAI? All right, that should be everyone. All right. So for anyone who doesn't know, or if anyone's listening doesn't know, they're an American artificial intelligence research lab. In the past few months and years, they've come out with products such as GPT-3, ChatGPT, and GPT-4, and currently they have probably the most powerful large language models that are available to the public. And today, with Respell, you guys are going to be able to access these services without any billing, without any pay, and you're going to be able to do it on their expense, but you're going to be able to do it in like less than 5 minutes. Before we get started though, why use Respell and why is it so important and why are like low code, no code applications the future? Well, ship. That's an important culture, important quote in the startup culture. Paul Graham was a very important figure in the startup space. You know, his quote is to ship early. And basically with Respell, what we want to help everyone enable is to get your products out early. The faster you have your things deployed and you can test them, right, you can find your errors early. So, you know, instead of like finding these errors 1, 2, 3 hours before the deadline, you can find this like at 12 a.m. tonight and fix it really easily. And, you know, you can test it out continuously and get continuous feedback. It just makes your product development so much more easier. So enough of talking. We're going to now get into the actual part. So let me just go here. So first of all, everyone, can everyone open Respell? Respell.ai and log in with your net ID at UT Dallas. You can come here, will help you get in.
Yep.
Everyone here should have access to it. So, but if you cannot, please just come on this side, left side, and Nicholas can help you, or I guess the right side.
Awesome. Yeah, any side's good.
But once everyone's logged in, just give me a thumbs up and we'll continue.
Yeah, if everybody can just log in right now, that would be great. Let me know if it doesn't work. Yeah. All right, awesome. Can you yeah, actually whitelist. This will be super quick, guys. My apologies.
All right, so just while he's doing that, I'm just gonna make sure every row. So back row, is everyone, can everyone access back row? Yeah? All right, cool. Second back row, everyone's good? All right, this row, are y'all good?
Try it.
Everyone can access? Oh, you can't? Okay, come here. You guys can access? Okay, can you guys access?
All right, great. Awesome.
It's Respell.ai, and the login is you sign up with your net ID at utdallas.edu. So sign up with that, and then you'll have access to this.
Awesome.
Did you guys get it?
Can you read me your
All right, cool.
JCK 210
JCK?
002.
All right, try now. All right, awesome.
All right.
You can get to the dashboard and stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
So for those that were able to get on Respell, I want you to just click create a spell, and I'll wait for everyone to do that. Okay, cool. So this is like the dashboard of Respell. This is where all the magic's gonna happen. So on the left-hand side, you're gonna see something called controls. And controls are your inputs and outputs. So you're gonna see text input, image input, text output, image output, etc. Web searches, audio input, audio output, okay? And then if you go to the model section, this is where we're gonna see Respell's models. So this is where we're gonna see GPT, GPT-3, ChatGPT, the one everyone knows here, DALL-E, which is converts text to images. We also have GPT-4, the latest one, Stable Diffusion, Whisper, which converts like your audio to text, and other models that we're gonna play with. So I want everyone to go to controls and click text input. Okay. And then I want everyone to go to models, and we're gonna go to, let's go down to GPT-4, chat completion. Okay. Then go back to controls, add another text input. So now you should have 2 text inputs. And then if you scroll down, a text output. So I'll just wait for everyone to have this set up and ready.
Awesome.
All right. I think that's enough time. Now we're gonna take the first text box, click this, and drag this to instruction.
Is it JJJ?
And the second one, we're gonna do it to message.
180.
And then this response, we're gonna click it to the output. So now what we've done a Respell is we've made a complete pipeline
Awesome.
from input to model to output. You're not coding anything here, just connecting blocks. It's like Scratch. Okay. Now, one last thing we need to do before this runs is we need to give this a prompt because this is a GPT-4 model, and GPT-4 models need 2 things, an input and a prompt. So I want everyone here to tell me, what do you want this thing to do? Think about it. Like, let's brainstorm. Do you guys want to yeah, go ahead.
Should it be like a tutor or We could do. Let's do tutor, like a fourth grade tutor or something like that.
Okay, cool. So go to the first text input. If you click it,
And let's rename it.
yeah.
Rename it.
So I'm gonna name this tutor prompt, and then we're gonna go to set fixed value, and then here we're gonna write a prompt. So this is a simple prompt. So
Like you are a fourth grade math tutor.
and then your job is to take a mathematical expression and explain it in simple terms. Try to use analogies and examples and keep it very simple.
And then just move that over.
Yeah, I'll just move this over. Very cool.
Also, yeah, so you can pretty much do anything there, but that's the instruction, obviously. And then the next thing will be, this will be the message, like the question, we can call it.
What do I call it?
You want to call it question or something?
Yeah.
All right, great.
And then click this, and we're just gonna call it output.
Okay. So yeah, essentially, just to reiterate, you made your GPT-4 block. You connected a fixed text input, which is like our kind of private instruction to GPT-4, which is your text. You're a fourth grade tutor, and then the dynamic input is the question, and then obviously the dynamic output is the output, and then we can preview that.
All right, so the preview allows you to see what your app looks like and allows you to test around and play with it. So when it comes to preview, and you should have a screen like this, okay? Now I want everyone to write in whatever mathematical expression they want. Here, Nicholas is gonna write something for this example. So what
Is the, wait, what is the square root pi? Let's try that.
All right.
See what happens with that. All right, it's cooking. Let's see. And OpenAI may, especially with GPT-4, may throttle your requests. They might be pretty slow. That's OpenAI. That's that's not us. So you just kind of got to work with that. Okay, perfect. Imagine you have a delicious pie, etc., and then somehow we end up with the square root of pi. So that is how that works. And then from here, do you want to just go over publishing and stuff?
Yeah, go ahead.
Or first, do you want to? Okay, yeah. Yeah. So when you have, let's say, this simple spell, you've essentially created a standalone app. And what you can do now is if you click publish, and we call this math tutor, you publish that, set it to public. You have just created an AI app, and you can share this however you'd like. So if I just, where's control? So now anybody else can open and play with this. They must be logged in to run it, obviously for billing purposes. So here they can run that spell now, and obviously you can tidy it up and change the input names and all that to be cosmetically what you want. And when you can run it, and you can actually share the results that you come up with, and you can share those on Twitter or whatever else it is. If you want to just keep it non-technical and you're doing this more to like prototype and you just want to have like that base AI thing. But we'll get into later what happens if I want to call this with an API and package it up myself and use it in more complex like back office workflows. So yeah, that is. And then so once you publish, you have access to insights, the API, which we'll get into later, and obviously settings. So one more thing we want to show. Here, should we just do a new one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Great. So we'll go like just a little showcase for. Where is it?
This one right here.
Okay, artistic portraits. Yeah, so this will be. We'll connect that. And then we have an image output. So, okay.
And then preview.
All right. All right. What do we want an artistic portrait of?
All right, yeah, go crazy with your imagination. Think of the wildest things ever. Let's go. Okay, we'll do this. We'll ask a statement from one row, from each row, starting from the front. So front row, someone tell us the first statement of this portrait that we want to draw. Someone. Come on. Someone's gonna say something.
Black and white.
Okay, that's black and white. Okay, someone else. Back row. Cat, okay. A black and white cat, okay. This row. What? Hold on, what? Okay, black and white cat and random assassin. I don't really. Okay.
How do you spell that? Yeah.
Tarzan.
Like this?
Yeah, that's it. And then assassin. Okay. Anyone else with
Nah,
any?
that's gonna be too much.
You want some? What? Super oxide. You're gonna have to spell that one.
Can I have a definition, please? All right. Let's start with
Black and white card Tarzan. Let's see what happens. And so the beauty of Respell and these little previews and publishes, right, is that you can experiment. You can change the models. So this is one text image. We have other text images. You can play around with these models, see which one gives you the best output, and then use that one for your app. So it really gives you a lot of freedom, and you don't have to go through all that setup and coding. You're just gonna connect, see which one gives you the best result, and then move and pick that model for your app. Okay.
Okay, it's just a beautiful black and white cat.
I'm not seeing any Tarzan in this, but it is, yeah, it looks pretty nice. And again, some of you guys might be thinking, like, I could have just called that specific model with code and stuff. And I kind of want to empower you to see past that and think it's not the specific model that matters. Because what if I just want to change it out like really quickly? What if I want to chain them together? The point is the overall flow of it. And that's kind of what I want you guys to like look at, is like the overall business logic of it, and kind of free yourself from the specifics of those API calls you were making and the specific models you were using, because those can change and they will change. So now,
Yeah.
Big app? All right, perfect.
All right. So now, hopefully, everyone has kind of like a basic understanding of how Respell works and everything. Okay. So now we're just gonna we're gonna give you an example of how to create step by step a more complicated app, and then how to specifically use that in your code. So another great thing about Respell is that once you publish these spells, right, you can actually call them just like an API. You can hit them with your input, and these spells will give you an output. And you don't have to interact with the company and their models and everything. You just interact with Respell, and it's simple, like 5-line API request, and you get the output. And it's very easy to get set up, and I'm gonna walk you through every step of that. So first of all, I want everyone to make an untitled spell, and we'll just get started. Okay, so first thing is, so the idea for this application is I want to make a personalized tutor, right? So let's say you're studying for an exam or you're studying for lecture notes and you have some sort of question. You ask the question, this app should be able to give you a description, like an explanation of the question, okay? It should be able to create a little quiz for you, a little test, like 10 multiple choice or true or false questions, and then like a little cheat sheet of 10 bullet points for you to remember before you go to the test, okay? So we're gonna be able to do this hopefully under 15 minutes. Don't time me, please. Okay, and then we're gonna also deploy it on like some sort of Python. So then you guys can take this and then mess around with it and then build your own applications. So let's get started. So first we're gonna have a text input, and this is gonna be our question. So I'm just gonna name this question. Okay, so the first thing is for the summary, for the explanation of the question, we need one ChatGPT block. So we're gonna go to models, and we're going to go to ChatGPT, and we're gonna connect this text to the message, and we're gonna create another text input, and this is the prompt. So this prompt will guide this block to make a description. So we're gonna connect this, and I'm gonna call this explain prompt. And I'm gonna go to set fixed value. So this will mean that it's always fixed. Mm-hmm. And then I'm gonna write the prompt. So you are an AI teacher. Simply explain concepts and topics to all students and use analogies and examples and make it very simple to understand. I'll wait for everyone to.
It doesn't have to be precise or specific. Again, you can always mess around with it. It should work pretty well, even if the prompts aren't that, especially if you're using GPT-4. Obviously, it doesn't matter, but this is just what we're specifically using.
So I'll wait for everyone. Once again, like a thumbs up, we'll move on to the next step.
And yeah, just to reiterate on this, when you have a text input, that's just like anything that's green, any block that's green, that's like a start point. for the spell run. Anything that's red is a place where it drops off. So if it's fixed, that would be something that you use for maybe more internal prompt engineering kind of purposes for like you to decide the feel of the app. And then the dynamic blocks are going to be what your users are giving you. So if you have an app that, let's say, does, translations for translate videos in a different language to text in English, right? Like you're going to have dynamic inputs for like, let's say audio, this one, or like those, or like whatever it is. So like that's what the green stuff is. And then the red stuff is obviously what do you want to end up with after the entire kind of process is finished.
All right, so I'm going to move on with this. So I'm going to have a text output, and I'm going to connect the response to this. I'm going to call this text output explain output. Okay, that's the first objective or app done. Took me about 3 minutes to do. All right, second objective, I want to make a quiz, okay? So Respell has a function, okay? And it's what it says does. You have a question and it will do a web search, okay? So I'm gonna pull this block here.
And also, while you're doing it, another thing, it's like, obviously GPT-4 might tell you stuff that's wrong, or same, especially GPT-3, like we all know it can hallucinate and all that stuff. So it's kind of nice if you can really instantly combine the LLM with facts from yourself, if you have other data sources, which we will soon support, or let's say like web search. So you can combine facts and that with generative AI, like really quickly. So that kind of helps to get rid of the fact that the GPT tutor might be telling you very wrong answers by itself.
So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take your question and I'm going to do a web search, okay? And I'm going to get some information, and then I'm going to feed this information to a ChatGPT. And with this information, with a set of facts, I'm going to ask ChatGPT, hey, this is a set of facts. Now I want you to make a quiz, okay? So for that, I'm going to go back to a text input. I'm going to connect it to here. And since this is a prompt, I'm going to have a fixed value and call it quiz prompt.
Also, if you guys want to get really meta, you could take that question input, put it through GPT, and ask it to come up with the optimal web search query to find facts about that, then search it, then put it back into another generative model to actually come up with the quiz. So you can really get as meta as you want to get it as precise as you want.
So for right now, I'm just going to have it create about 10 questions with varying difficulty, levels of difficulty, and randomize the order of the questions. The questions will be either true or false or multiple choice. I showed you true, false, or multiple choice. After writing all the questions, give the answers to the questions. Yeah, because we want to be able to check. So this prompt now is going to take your web search, give it a list of facts, and it's going to make a quiz out of it. Okay, and we just need an output for us to see the quiz, right? So we're going to go to text output, and we're going to go to response, connect that, and I'm going to label this quiz output. I kind of want you guys to just like pause here and just see like how in about like 6 minutes, we started 3:33, in 6 minutes, we've kind of like gone really complex, right? We have lots of connecting strands. Imagine trying to do this with code, right? And imagine then trying to test this out. Here you can just do this, connect these blocks, write your inputs, and test it in matters of seconds.
And as well as that, obviously it's still very fundamental right now, but you can actually test each block on its own and kind of root out hallucinations at the source. So exactly like Avi said, instead of me have made all of these calls and kind of pipe them into each other, I could literally just test them right now, test each block on its own, and then prototype this entire app like that. And yeah.
Okay, so that was the second task done. Took about like 3 or 4 minutes. And the last task is we just want to create bullet points, right? So like a little cheat sheet for us to go before we take the exam or whatever. So I'm going to use the same web search results, and I'm going to use like the same kind of thing here with a ChatGPT, a text input, and an output. So I'm going to go here to models, another ChatGPT. I'm going to go a bit down so it's a bit cleaner. And then I'm going to drag this search result into the message So message is the input, and then I'm gonna create another prompt. Connect this with instruction. I'm gonna call this bullet prompt, and I'm gonna say, you are an AI test maker or a set of facts. Make 10 bullet points. Summarize the content. Include mnemonics.
You guys don't need to go that crazy with the prompt engineering to get it, but like this is just for fun.
All right, and look, like we haven't even hit 10 minutes and we're almost done. So we're just gonna end this off. We're gonna have a text output connected here, and I'm gonna call this bullet output. So at this point, we've created the entire app. It took us less than 10 minutes. We have one question that kind of takes us through all these steps, and now we're gonna see it work, okay? So we're gonna go to preview. So you can see like you have all your prompts, right? Your explain prompt, your quiz prompt, your bullet prompt. Is anyone here in digital logic by any chance? No, okay. You are okay. Does anyone have some sort of question from a class that they want to ask? Like, let's open the floor up. Like, data structures. Is anyone data structures? No, okay. Pretty. Okay, it's fine. Okay, I'm gonna ask, what are linked lists? Okay, that should be something. So this one's gonna take a bit more longer because we're running it through 3 prompts, so it needs to give 3 results. But hopefully, give it some time and we'll get some results.
And again, just to clarify, like this should really just be kind of the start, like the jumping off point, because next, who knows, if you have like a mobile app, maybe you have it, maybe you tell, like you just talk to the app what the question is, start with audio, maybe you can output pictures, explanations for each one with like, you can really kind of do whatever you want. And it's literally just like, you really just have to be able to imagine it, I guess. And obviously right now, we don't have every single block, but even with the ones that there are, you could pretty much do like any of these things.
So the question was, what are linked lists? Let's look at our little tutor maker. That's what it does. Explain output. There you go. So using analogies. Remember we said use analogy and example. So we use an analogy of a train and how each car is connected to a train. That's how linked lists work, right? Then we have a little quiz, right? So like linked lists are random access data structures, false, right? Because you have to go through each element. So you're gonna take this little quiz now and kind of test yourself, right? You go down and then you have these bullet points. And before you go on an exam, you can kind of look through these bullet points and kind of understand and just kind of memorize, cram. And you have some like mnemonics to kind of like help you remember this. And it just took us 10 minutes to do that. And we're done. That's it. The app's complete. Now, if you want to use this in your code, right, we just have a couple of more steps, but they're not complicated either.
Yes.
So we're going to zoom out.
Also, just to check, like, just if everybody could raise hands, like who here is technical and wants to use this, like end up with the API or something like that.
Right, we have API people. Okay, that's a good
Okay, awesome. So yeah, we're gonna briefly show how to do that with like this example, right? Like imagine that you have this in a mobile app and they might be saying the question with their voice or whatever it is, and you want to just kind of have this custom as your own app. So first thing we would do is publish it. And if you intend to use this via the API, you don't need to make it public because you're going to be personally calling it with your API key.
Right, so now it's published, and I'm gonna go to API docs now. So this is the docs, and Respell does a wonderful job of actually providing us the exact code snippet we need to have to call this entire application we just built. So we're gonna come here, we're gonna copy this, and now
I'll just go through it real quick first.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So I guess also just to go over this really quickly, imagine here we're using like 3 or 4, there's like 4 separate kind of pieces of logic here that are independent, but instead of having to go through each one and deal with the like asynchronous results and stuff like that yourself, all you're going to do is do one post to your spell run, and you are going to pass values for these text inputs. Well, not for these ones. So that might be a bug. We'll get to that. So yeah, so you'll pass in inputs for each of these things, and actually here you can pass in your own questions or whatever it is. And then the output, it's literally just going to do all of that work on the back end and then just return what you want, which is those bullets and that type of stuff. And since you're getting this through the API, then you can do more fancy stuff and split up by line and all that, and then display lists, whatever framework you're using in that type of way. And again, you're just making one call. That's it. You don't have to worry about the API keys for whatever it is you're using. Yep.
Can you import your own models?
So as of now, no, but we do intend to add that soon. And we'd also like to add pretty soon fine tuning for models and embedding. So that's very soon on the roadmap, but just not for this weekend. Yep. I mean, you can talk over it, right? So
Yeah, okay. Okay, so we're gonna come over to VS Code now, everyone's favorite IDE, all right? For this step, you should have Python installed on your computer. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna go to the terminal and we're gonna do, let me increase the font here, there you go.
also, I guess, raise of hands. I mean, is anybody here using Python?
That should be.
All right,
yeah,
awesome,
okay.
awesome.
Before we do this, actually, first of all, I just want to ask how many people were able to get something like this working on their end? How many people were able to get that? Yeah? Okay. All right, awesome. Okay, cool. Okay, we're going to go back to the API docs. Oops. API docs. Okay. So I'm going to first come here to the Flask setup, and I'm going to do pip install Flask. And this is, so Flask, if you guys don't know, is like a library that Python uses to be able to create your applications. Using Flask, you can have like your website or your mobile app access certain endpoints, like gateways, these are called. And from here, you can give it an input and we'll give you an output. And then that output, you can like do whatever you want, like display it on the website or, do some analysis on it. So this part is very important to like a lot of AI ML apps. Because you have the model somewhere, you want to hit it with an input and get the output. So that's what we're going to do right now. So once you have pip and the Flask done, if this is your first time installing Flask, it'll take some time. We're going to come here and I already have some of the code ready. So we're going to start with this. So we're going to have these import statements, Flask, request, and JSON, and then you guys can just kind of write that out, I guess. There's not really much to it. Basically what this is I'm defining those little, what I said, those endpoints. So when I go to just slash, I'm just gonna get a hello world. When I go to fetch respell, that's where I'm gonna talk about, my logic and everything. So just to show you how this works, I'm gonna first comment this out and I wanna go to the bottom. We also need this little bit. So here we go. I'm gonna run play here. And then you'll see like a link here that you can click. I'm gonna click that. And then I'll get rid to my quote unquote API and just let it load for a bit. And as you can see, we see hello world, which is what we said, which is what we wanted to return here. So as you can see, instead of now when we create our own little like thing for Respell, instead of hello world, we're gonna return the output, okay? And so what we're gonna do is something like this. We're gonna go to Respell, and this is as simple as it is. We click copy, come here, paste, make sure it's like indented because Python does not like that. Yeah, I'll remove that.
So, that's literally it.
We just need to add 2-3 lines, and then we're done with the API too.
And just obviously make sure for the question that you want, it's going to be obviously a variable, like dynamic input. And this is just an example with Flask, but whatever your use case is, if it's like React, React Native, Flutter, Vue, it's pretty much just going to be similar. You're going to be making one call. Obviously, you probably don't want your API key exposed on like a front end thing. It's going to be in the client. But besides that, it's just one call, and you can run as complex of a workflow as you want and not worry about any of the actual, kind of code overhead of that. And you can just focus on your app and the business logic behind that, especially if you're doing a 24-hour hackathon.
Okay. While you was talking, I just added a couple of lines, so I'll let everyone kind of copy this down. I just added this in here query args get input. This is what will allow us to write an input and get that. And then we can pass this input to Respell. So I'm going to copy query. I'm going to go down where it says question. I'm going to remove that and give my query.
You want to copy and paste?
Yeah, and then for the prompts, I'm just going to go to Respell and I'm going to copy those prompts that I had. So I'm going to go back to Respell, go to edit, go to preview. Remove one of the ones, but we can write that. So I'm going to copy quiz prompt, go back, paste that here. Right, that's done. Now, next prompt is the bullet prompt, copy and paste. Right, prompt started again. Start simple one. Explain question like I'm 5 years old. There we go. Okay, and then this stuff just will take whatever Respell gives you and just gets the answer and then turn the answer.
And also just really quickly to go over some other stuff you can do with these inputs. Let's say in the spell you have an image input or an audio input. For those, you're gonna have to pass a URL. So like if you want to do a DALL-E image variation, you could just pass like the URL to like a Wikipedia image. And if this is like, if you're making a mobile app right now for your project and it's like a new thing, what you can, should I go like Chrome? I would recommend just really quickly using, it's free, just use upload.io. It's super easy and it's free and you can just upload your base64 or whatever it is, like that local picture that someone took on your app. Then you can pass that URL to Respell in that call. Okay.
Yep. Okay, and we're almost done. So we're just gonna come here to the Flask and I'm gonna stop the server by doing Control-C. Clear this, and I'm gonna restart it. And this time I'm gonna pass in an input and then we should be able to get a response. And then with that, we should be done. So I'm gonna go back to here. And then it's gonna open my server. And so then I defined my little gateway as /fetch Respell. So I'm gonna copy that, put that there. And then my question, this is how you're gonna write. You're gonna write a question mark and then input. And then I'll ask again the same question, like what are linked lists? And then question mark. And then I'm gonna let this run and hopefully it should work. There's more or anything.
Also, just a few specifics right now. If you are using the API, it times out after 2 minutes. So if you're running like 100 models chained, it's possible, but we'll probably time out before that finishes. Okay. There we go.
Just take this close for a second. I just have to do a little change. Let's call explain output.
Use the wrong variable.
There you go. All right, it should work now.
I wonder if that question mark is going to be weird.
No, it takes it in the. But yeah, hopefully with this, I hope everyone learned something.
Yeah. And so I guess after that, since we're kind of done with that example, I kind of want to briefly just ask you guys, is there any use cases you guys have questions on, or maybe like parts of the editor you want me to like elaborate on? Does anybody have anything, questions?
Could you use the web search feature to link, for example, someone's profile, their social media profile, with your information, and use that to generate?
That's a great question. Okay, so I guess, so right now the underlying for web search is like SERP. So I guess you could query like links for like images. Or do you mean like do image variations, or like do you mean like get like posts on Twitter and then use that to make images, or?
Yeah, like posts or like a website and read all the information on the website.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, so the way this web search one works is like it's almost like if you were to search on Google and the first page of results that comes in, that's what it's retrieving. So to make sure, like if you want to test this out, you can either go here and test your query and see if it gets the right result, or practice your query and just go to Google and search that, and then whatever it returns there, this is what this is going to return. So there you go.
I guess also maybe your best bet right now, if you have like something like a very specifically formatted thing you're using, you might just need to do a separate API call first and then pipe that in. But if it's something SERP can return, then you can just use that block. Yeah, does that help? Awesome.
A question about the when you're quoting
Okay.
like instruction and message.
Yep. So instruction will be, it's almost like the role setting. So I'm telling GPT, regardless of what the actual question is, that you are like a tutor and you should respond as one. And then the message would be, let's say, like the question for the tutor. And not all models need this. So let's say if it's just text generate, or like, yeah, or does this, so like, where'd it go? So let's say if it's just text generate, that will just take in text and spit out text. But if you're using GPT-4, then the instruction will be the role, and then the message will be the specific like prompt. And then also, I guess another example would be like, let's say if you're using something like, if you're using like Refusion to create like music snippets. Oh, that's weird. Or like if you're using like stable diffusion, let's say like there's two prompts for this one, right? Like a prompt would be like, what do you want me to make in the image? And a void prompt is like, what do you not want to see? Like, let's say like draw an animal, but like for a void prompt, like don't draw a tiger, like whatever that is. So it kind of is, it's very specific to that model. Awesome. Any other questions or like things you guys want us to like go through use cases? Yeah, so the text transform block essentially allows you to like do string templating without code. So let's say somebody inputs two different pieces of text, if you want to show that.
I'll do that.
What I can do is I can use those as like variables and then like format a message with those values. And then you could pipe, let's say the model only takes one input, you can use this ahead of time to like prompt engineer. And you can kind of just use that in general to consolidate text inputs and get that like the way you want, if you want to demonstrate that. So yeah, here you essentially you're deciding what you want the output to be, and then you get to use those inputs that you pass as variables. So this is pretty arbitrary to do in code if you are calling this from an API, but it's convenient if you're prototyping and you don't intend to use the API with this because you get to just do it with that block. Yeah, so that references the two variables. Any other questions? All right, awesome. So yeah, when you're just, I guess for like a little wrapping up on when you have your specific app, can you go back to the spell?
Oh, the spell. Sorry.
Yeah, can you just go to like a basic one?
Yeah, you can just go here.
Yeah, there's like the basic GPT one.
Basic GPT.
So this one.
Yeah, we're gonna say choose really fast.
Yeah, so like once you have stable diffusion text to image, so like obviously if you just want to like play around with it and like maybe this is for you prototyping with your team, once you create this like a image gen or something, and yeah, make it public. So you can publish it, make it public. Like when I share the link for that, like copy the link.
This one, right?
So yeah, you can copy that, make sure it's obviously set to public first, and you can share this and have your team try it out. And just like type something in, tiger or something. All right, I don't know if that one's gonna work.
No, I'm just. this is what it's for. You know, you can just like, I don't know, this is what it's for. You just like, you know, let your ideas flow and there's no filter and you can test whatever you want and the output is like immediate. So, I mean, I don't know, maybe we'll see a tiger playing with a banana on top of a bike.
Oh, wow.
Okay. That's close enough. You know?
Okay. And this is why it's nice to have it in here because we could iterate a little bit and maybe prompt engineer a little bit.
So let's say we want to do like, I want to have it play with an apple, but with a dolphin saying, giving a high five. I don't know. And I could just submit here and then have it work
Yeah, we'll see.
or not. I don't know.
I'm so invested in this right now.
Yeah, I actually want to see the result too.
But yeah, once you do these runs, you can also share the results with your team, with anybody else, and people can load up what you did. And I guess that would help if you're trying to like come up with what are good prompts and stuff like that. You can kind of collaborate with other people just by sharing that result. So yeah, that's pretty much editor 1.0. Let's see. Oh, wow.
Yo, okay, that's
Where's the dolphin? Where's the dolphin? Oh, it's like it's underwater.
Yeah, it's under. Yeah, I don't know. We can kind of see.
Okay, I'll take it. It's like
yeah.
So that's kind of the 101 of using the editor. Again, I really want to see the different type of stuff you guys are gonna make. I heard some like cool use cases and stuff, and I'll be around me and Nabi will be around for the rest of the day. Like, please come to us with your use cases, and I'd love to just walk through the editor with you guys on like random stuff you guys are doing. And yeah, please come up with questions if you have. And also, if you make a spell, which I think every person should do, please like post it on Twitter, tag us, and I'll be giving merch, Respell shirts,
Respell
stickers, credits, all that type of stuff. All you have to do is just like post the link to your spell or whatever it is, and just tag us. I would love to see those things. And that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for coming, guys.
Thank you, guys.
It's been awesome. All right. Good stuff, man. You did great.
That was great.
Can you show me what that was?
When you were
I feel blind.